Hey everyone. Thanks for listening to this special edition podcast from Podfabula Productions. Today's episode, Season 1 Recap. Did it! Produced an entire season of podcasts featuring an eclectic mix of my own and other authors' work. I thought it would be helpful to summarize the first 20 episodes that went into Season 1. This will be brief, and I'll end with a sneak preview. Episode 1, Trade. Introduce the show and explain the origin of the word podfabler. I profiled my own work, a microfiction short story. The second and third episodes also featured short stories, Bob's Day in Court, a parody, and a space western, Zolark of Desire, my personal favorite and also the most viewed show in Season 1. I switched to nonfiction and read chapters from my book, Integral Lessons in Transformation, in both Podcast 4, The Healing Power of Forgiveness, and Episode 19, The Deep Well of Peace. The fifth show included an excerpt from my debut sci-fi novel, Sentient. Episodes 6, 8, 10, and 12 were all special editions where I aired the 4-part radio drama series Mad Mel and the Meridians, a zany and wacky sci-fi adventure written by my friend and colleague, Gary Morgenstein. Podcast 7 is my finest example of creative nonfiction and really is in a category unto itself. Spaghetti, noun, adjective, and verb. Episode 9, Trapped, is a story fragment built on a scene, character, and setting that kept percolating in my mind until I finally committed it to paper. Drop me a note if you think I should write the rest of the story. The 11th episode featured a short story from another author friend and colleague, G.D. Deckard, What a Difference an Alien Makes. That story appeared in the inaugural issue of Sci-Fi Lampoon, and G.D. was recently named chief editor. You should check it out. Episode 13 is another example of nonfiction, Don't Touch My Stuff, a humorous short story I wrote to describe some personal marital conflict. Podcast 14 is all about imagination, lessons from a fish tank. Show 15 is a chapter excerpt from colleague Curtis Boss's mystery psychological thriller, One Green Bottle. That's book 1 of the 3-part series featuring the novice private investigator, Magali Rousseau. In episode 16, I feature another example of Gary Morgenstein's work, a chapter excerpt from his dystopian fiction novel, A Mound Over Hell. I return to my own work in podcast 17 and narrate the entire short story, The New Neighbors. This story was published in an anthology, The Rabbit Hole, Weird Stories, Volume 1. Episode 18 featured a chapter excerpt from Damnificados, a marvelous award-winning novel in the genre of magical realism. The author, J.J. Amawaru Wilson, is both a friend and mentor to me in my writing career. Finally, the last show in Season 1 featured another author, friend, and colleague, Zach Wheeler. I narrated a chapter excerpt from Max and the Multiverse, book 1 of a series, a sci-fi satire in the vein of Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This book has won multiple awards. So there you have it, 20 shows, with the work of 5 different authors accounting for 9 episodes and featuring an eclectic mix of fiction and nonfiction. In Season 2, I'll continue blending my own work and introduce you to new authors. I mentioned a sneak preview. Here's the cover for my new novel, Serpent Rising, scheduled for release August 6th. It's book 1 of The Saga of Venom and Flame, a 2-book suspense series blending elements of The Force Awakens with the drama of The Da Vinci Code. There are chakra openings, secret societies, a trail of clues to follow, and mysteries to unravel. That's all I'll say for now. Trust me, feedback from my beta readers assures me this book is special. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for Season 2 of Podfabula Productions. I also want to thank you for spreading the word about Podfabula Productions. You can learn more about me and the show on my website, www.writingtoraiseConsciousness.com. Follow me on Twitter, and participate in the fan base by checking out Podfabula Productions on Facebook, where shows are archived for discussion and comments. You can subscribe to the podcast series on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and other download platforms. Finally, please stop by my Amazon author page and check out my nonfiction and fiction books and short stories. Until next time.